Hello everyone, this is my video about if aerial exploits and ledge exploits are dead in Monster Hunter World Iceborne. And I'm going to do this video a little bit differently. I wanted to do more of a free flow thinking kind of video where I don't really, where I kind of just give my thoughts and share with y'all some of the findings that I found in the beta and just some of the stuff that we speedrunners have discussed and have seen that was changed in Iceborne. So I have some notes here that I'll, kind of go over, and hopefully I don't miss anything. I'm sure I will, but I'll mention it later on. So first of all, I guess let's talk about what weapons I'm going to talk about specifically. I'm going to talk about greatsword, hammer, gun lance, longsword as the main aerial weapons that can abuse ledge exploits. Actually, the light Bogan can too, but it's not really aerial weapon. But I will discuss it in this video, how that all looks like in Iceborne. The bow also had an exploit with the wall and the dual blades with the slide attacks. But those two were kind of just specific to Nergigante and Basil. So I'm not really going to touch upon them, and I don't really know much about if they changed it all in the beta. So yeah, no, not going to touch those. Okay, so first thing that we noticed in the beta was that Airborne Jewel. Okay, first of all, the title of the video is clickbait. Okay, Aerial is not dead, actually. Actually, on contrary, it got a huge buff in Iceborne. From 10%, the Airborne Jewel itself, that was just one slot. It went from 10% to 30%, which is a massive buff. It's about an 18% buff in damage. So all weapons that had a good ledge attacks or aerial attacks got major buffs. Okay, but with all that said, I'm gonna jump first into aerial greatsword. Aerial greatsword actually is dead. Okay, out of all the aerial weapons, this one is actually dead. They cut down the motion value by half, which is what that means is that per hit, the aerial greatsword is doing about half the damage that it used to do in Monster Hunter World, in base Monster Hunter World. On top of that, they buffed normal greatsword, and so outside of maybe some setups against some monsters, maybe against Lunastra, where you can't really lock her down with normal greatsword, or I don't know. Man, getting your damage cut by half is massive. Okay. Although they cut it by half and then they buffed Airborne skill, so maybe that will save it. Maybe there's some matchups where it might come out top if you're able to lock the monster down with Ricky Bull Rides, which all it means is basically you're able to chain mounts into dunks. Hopefully I'll put a little video right here showing what that looks like. But outside of that, it's pretty much dead. That's okay though. Honestly, it's kind of about time. Ever since I started doing aerial greatsword back in February 2018, literally about a month and a half after the game came out, actually even less than that, I was for sure that they were gonna just nerf aerial greatsword into the ground, and yeah, they never did. And well, our time has come, so that's okay though. I kind of stopped doing aerial anyways. It was long overdue, and new things we'll find new things to exploit and to speedrun with. But it was fun, all the cool stuff you do with aerial greatsword. But I mean, as y'all could see from my last tiered list video, aerial greatsword is just ridiculous, man. Way too much damage. It was overtuned. It pretty much made playing greatsword normally just a joke in general. Having sub 2 arc tempered monsters like 130 something Karen, sub 150 AT Val, just everything sub 2, just it just melts everything. It was too much. And normal greatsword getting buffed slightly, I think, with the new TCS. I think it did a little more damage on those weak spots that you got with the clutch claw. Just solidifies that it's pretty much dead as a OP damage source. So rip aerial greatsword. It was fun having you, but I don't think greatsword will be one of the great aerial weapons in Iceborne. All right, but with all that said, let's jump to the hammer. The hammer aerial attack got basically untouched. So now that you have a airborne buff on top of that, the hammer is gonna look good. It's gonna be the ledge is gonna be the hammer's best friend. I already showed that when I ran Narakuga, and that run that I did could go even lower. I got like a 332. It can go into the low like 320s, maybe sub 320, which is insane. I think only 2 other weapons, maybe, yeah. Only the hammer and greatsword managed to sub 2. Oh, maybe the switch axe. I mean, sorry, not sub 2, sub 4. And the hammer can go in the low 3s. The hammer was by far the strongest weapon in the beta, in my opinion. Ole showed that against Tigrex, he was able to lock Tigrex down. But I think hammer in a perfect run could actually get close to the greatsword locking the monster completely. And the hammer doesn't really have to lock the monster completely. So the hammer's looking good. And on Tigrex, I couldn't even use the aerial attacks. So on anything that you're able to just start hitting aerial attacks, it's going to look juicy. Aerial hammer was never actually broken in Monster Hunter World, base Monster Hunter World. I think people thought it was. I don't know where that idea came from. I think it's because aerial greatsword was so broken that they kind of thought that, oh, aerial hammer must be too. But now it was maybe about, you know, I'd say somewhere between 3 to 5% stronger at best. And that's assuming every hit connected. And it was actually harder to connect every hit with aerial hammer. So normally when I played aerial hammer, I did a lot of mixing of aerial hammer and then, you know, the ground attacks, doing big bangs. Because the big bang was a lot more assured hit that it'll hit the weak spot. So you kind of did both. But man, in Iceborne, oh, the juicy 18% extra damage on the air attack is going to be a big deal. And I think hammer is going to be... the greatsword already looked really good in the beta. But I think the hammer is going to be a top tier weapon. I think at worst, as of right now, unless they screw the actual end game hammer real hard, it's going to be at worst like 4th place right now. It's, man, it got massively buffed overall. So that's crazy. All right, so I'll probably be bouncing around, you know, going back to the greatsword and hammer, but I guess let's go next to the gun lance. The gun lance is kind of in the same position as the hammer, where the aerial attack got untouched, and now the airborne skill got buffed. So, I think the Tigrex time, the fastest one, was Delbuster or Delephantz on YouTube, and he used aerial gun lance on that run, wherever he could. Of course, you know, you trap the monster and you dish out your DPS as much as you can. So that already shows you how strong the aerial metagame's going to be in Iceborne. Of course, you know, this stuff is all banned in TA, but I don't really care about limiting myself in speedruns. So, you know, regards to them. So yeah, Gunlance got really shafted in the beta overall. It didn't really get a good Gunlance, so it was kind of hard to see where the Gunlance is going to be. But I think in very, very end game, with Airborne was already kind of, I think in baseline Monster Hunter World, aerial Gunlance was already really hard to use. It didn't really work on ATs very well, but you know, now it has an 18% buff, and yeah, that's pretty meaty. So at least for the, you know, not maybe the G rank monsters, but the high rank monsters and such, aerial Gunlance is going to dominate for sure. So Kushala, normal Kushala, normal Tio, normal Nergigante, I think all the fastest times possibly will be aerial Gunlance. So looking pretty good on Gunlance. All right, so next I have the Longsword. So the Longsword has a good aerial attack. I think when you charge the Longsword all the way up to red gauge, but it's kind of a meme. I know Peppe did a run against Tio with it, but outside of that, I don't know. I guess 18% buff is big for it, and it did a decent amount of damage, but yeah, outside of meme runs, I don't think we're going to see much of it. So yes, aerial Longsword got buffed, but it's just too hard to use, and I think the ground setting up other cool stuff with the longsword will be what was that with that EIE slash? I don't even know what the new moves are called with the longsword. I didn't actually look at it much. So yeah, it's still a meme, and unless someone makes it work somehow on something else, I guess on a shorter runs it might work. But yeah, that's all I have to say about the longsword. Okay, so let's touch upon the light bowgun, which is my real favorite weapon. No, the hammer. The hammer is my favorite weapon, but man, ledge light bowgun is so sick for me. I love ledge light bowgun, and yes, it actually still works in Iceborne. I tested it. I'll show y'all some clips here, right here, in front of you. I did it against Tigrex early on. The thing about ledge light bowgun is you need a very specific set to make it work. So obviously in a beta, you don't really have the options of making that set work. The reason ledge light bowgun is so good, for anyone who doesn't know what ledge light bowgun is, basically you're able to cancel the recoil animation with a ledge, because the recoil pushes you back up on that ledge, and as you cross the ledge, your character just completely negates the animation of the recoil. What's really cool about ledge light bowgun too is that as you're falling off the ledge, you also are able to reload in the air. And that also negates the need for any recoil, for reload mods. So you don't need recoil mods or reload mods to make ledge light bowgun work. So all of a sudden you have this light bowgun that you can stack all the close-up mods you want. Close-up mods allow you to, dish out more DPS, and you're able to shoot faster. So shoot faster, more DPS. It just becomes a beast. On top of light bowgun just being insanely versatile and doing setups, you can use the ledge to cancel stuff to stickies, to sleeps, to tranks, whatever you want. You're able to cancel animations into a mount, into a sheath. So the light bowgun is just, that trick makes it into such a powerful weapon. And actually, I'd say ledge light bowgun I think is the third or fourth biggest DPS in the game, in base Monster Hunter World, behind wall bow and aerial greatsword and maybe glutton. I think it's stronger than glutton in extreme, when you have it all set up, but it takes a little bit to set up, so it loses to glutton in the end. But yeah, so I think ledge light bowgun's gonna be a bigger deal in Iceborne just because it still works, and I'm pretty sure they're gonna give you a light bowgun that's gonna be unless they nerf spread threes, it's still gonna be a thing. So be on the lookout for it. I think light bowgun, assuming that they still give you a good light bowgun in Iceborne, and you're able to still kill things decently fast. From the beta, I didn't feel like the monsters were any different than in base Monster Hunter. They still melted pretty fast. On my Narakuga run or Tigrex run, I was able to script most of my run, and I had bad gear. So I was like, I'm able to script most of this run with bad gear. I don't remember being able to do this in baseline Monster Hunter World beta. So maybe because we're better now, but yeah. So stuff to look out for is in the Iceborne is the beta isn't really a good indicator of what the full game's gonna be. For example, they haven't showed us, actually, if you're wondering too about the mines with light bowgun, with ledge light bowgun, I don't see that being too useful, mainly because it's kind of like a setup weapon, and the mines are more for fighting normally and countering. So maybe if they give us something else, some other mod that they haven't told us, I'm not really sure what they could give us that wouldn't change the way it's played, unless also spread 3 somehow get nerfed. I don't know if they got nerfed in the beta. Honestly, I couldn't tell, because Elemental was really powerful. I didn't really look too much into the motion values. All I know is that aerial greatsword got nerfed into the ground, and is not gonna really be a thing. And don't expect me to be using aerial greatsword at all in Iceborne. But with all that said, greatsword is still insane, and setups with the clutch claw to do stuff like ground dunks. I don't know if you've seen my video about ground dunks. I think greatsword is going to be the weapon that's going to use all that, so be on the lookout for all that. Basically, if the greatsword can't trap consistently monsters like I did against Tigrex, the hammer is going to be the king in Iceborne. So I am predicting that hammer will be a top 3 weapon in Iceborne for sure. So yeah, so is Aerial dead? No, it's not. It's actually Iceborne is gonna be played in the skies, and Aerial Greatsword is dead, however. So rip Aerial Greatsword. It was nice knowing ya, but I hope y'all have fun watching my video, and yeah, I just wanted to give y'all the info of what the beta was like. So if y'all have any more questions, please ask in the in the comments below. And yeah, I feel like not a lot of people were interested in the beta for some reason. I think it's because they called it a massive expansion and DLC, and people were like, oh no, DLC means, like, oh, they're just giving you one map. But this is G rank, guys. They're giving us, this is a huge, they should have honestly just called it G rank and just sold you the game again full price, because people think, oh, it's an expansion, so it's gonna be, just some little thing. When you think of expansion, when I think of a DLC, I don't think of a whole, brand new the size of the game. But this is actually what this is. So please look into it. It's gonna be great. The game felt amazing. I had so much fun playing the beta, and honestly, the clutch claw felt really good. The setups are gonna be nasty. There's gonna be more exploits to uncover, more cool tricks to find. Just in the beta, we found little things. I found I found a way to get Narakuga to taunt constantly. I haven't really talk to anybody about this stuff, but if you watch my run, you'll notice that Narakuga taunts every time out of traps, out of KOs, and it was that area. He's like bugged in that area, so I don't know why. So just already in the beta, we're finding things, and yeah, it was a lot of fun. And well, thank you for watching. Until next time.